All right. Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of the Chasing Elite podcast. I'm Grif alongside Cadin. And today we just kind of wanted to do a little bit of an introduction video. We want to give a little background on how we chose the name, where it came from, and then kind of dive into a little bit of our belief system, and then kind of how things have changed and how we've adapted since we've left Springfield. So first, to get into the name. So the first memory I have of using the word elite is something I actually took from one of my internships at Holy Cross. It was in the warm-up, and Coach Grotsky said that is an elite bear plank position, which at the time just thought was kind of like ridiculous and funny. It's like pretty simple position to get into. And then for some reason I brought that term back.
Elite just holding a tall plank.
What's that?
So elite just holding a bear plank.
So I brought elite back to Springfield and started saying that, and
Boy got abused.
It kind of caught on a bit. A lot of the GAs were saying it, and then from there kind of evolved to we don't want to be anti-elite, which is another thing that I kind of started saying. So when we were thinking about what we wanted to title this, we're trying to become elite, so we're chasing eliteness,
right?
With the preface being, at the same time, we don't believe that elite is a destination. Elite is a process, and we're just trying to become less anti.
It's like, how can we become less anti by the day?
Can I become 1% less anti today?
And what's funny is, I mean, we used elite a ton at school, especially given that, you and I worked together with track and field. It was just it spread quickly. And I brought it. I'm currently with the Blue Jays, and I brought it. And now elite is a thing here too. And I'm not going to lie. So the coach I work with here, she says it all the time. And, it's just a product of what we built. But, it brings fun, but at the same time, it does have meaning, I think. Like, it provides value. Like, when we think something is valuable and worthwhile and it has our support, like, we call it elite. And elite. If it doesn't, we call it anti.
That's anti.
And honestly, like, I think you make a great point, and you've said all along that elite is not a destination. And you're absolutely right. You could be the highest level of coach. I think you could have, the biggest following or work with the highest level athlete. And if you feel like you don't have any room to grow from there and you become stagnant, then you're doing yourself a disservice. Just because the nature of our field is there's no one size fits all. You're never going to, reach that peak.
Right.
So yeah, essentially just trying to be less anti every day. If I can be less anti-elite every day, I can get closer to elite. Knowing I'm not going to get there, but if I'm not anti, then I should be all right.
I'm not sure it's really. I'm not sure we have a measurable scale here of what is elite and what is anti. It's pretty undefinable. But
yes,
that's where we're kind of just hoping to talk to some people that are smarter than us and
that we deem elite.
Help us. Yeah, it's our judgment.
We say there's no you can't reach it, but we throw it out there all the time.
It's pretty subjective.
Yeah.
But if we talk to some people we think are elite, then hey, we become less anti.
Of course. And I think it's important to note that, how this idea came about is, Grif and I worked together at Springfield with the track and field team with the sprinters and jumpers. And I would say the conversations that we had, you and I, from cycle to cycle, were some of the more eye-opening conversations that I had. Just because, you're still introductory, and I felt introductory. And I think it's easy to progress from block to block without putting forth the necessary level of thought and conversation that's needed when working with human beings. And so you and I sitting down in the office or up on the what's that building called above the track?
The mezzanine?
Mezzanine. I mean, you sit in that back corner couch and we're like doing primetime runs, just feeling things out and stuff.
Oh, that's great.
But like those conversations is where I learn the most personally. And so I got to a place where now I'm lucky enough to be, in minor league baseball, and the methods are totally different. And it was, it's an adjustment period, and you were always that person that I felt comfortable bouncing ideas off and picking your brain, because you always challenged my thoughts, and that helped me learn more. And so we've done that, all year. You'd call Griff, and we'd end up being hour and a half long conversations. And you don't realize it because you're learning, and it's easy to form an opinion based on, what you've seen most recently. That new shiny toy that we always talk about. It's very easy to adopt that without what I would call like the necessary conversation around it to figure out if it's optimal for who you're working with or not. And those conversations that you and I have continued to have are what helps me learn the most. And we were just having one the other day, and we kind of said, how cool would it be if we could have this same level of conversation with other individuals that we value their opinion? And we kind of took a leap at, we were going to start this, podcast. I wouldn't deem ourselves podcasters. We're just coaches that really want to learn. And I think the opportunity to speak with other like-minded individuals in a setting that we want to almost be treated like a round table. Like we want to challenge each other's thoughts and learn from each other. We don't want it to be like a straight interview. We think that could be, obviously extremely valuable for our knowledge, but, other people that learn the same way out there that may value it. It could be two people, but if, anyone feels like it's helped them, then it works for us because it's helped us. So that's kind of, our mission behind it. We didn't go in with the thought of this being a giant successful podcast. We just naturally want to get better as coaches and learn from people that we deem, knowledgeable and elite. So that's kind of the background.
Right. We're going to do it. So why not record it?
Of course. That's the thing is like,
but
also think
from it,
if we were going to reach out to coaches with notoriety and said, hey, like, you want to just like hop on a Zoom call with Coach Griff and I for nothing, like no recording, probably less likely to occur. So we're just trying to think of how can we, create some environment where we can welcome coaches on that enjoy having conversation.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the goal behind it. I think it's important to note.
Yeah.
But yeah, today, obviously, first exposure to what we're doing, and we kind of just want to like open the floor up, right? Kind of, see what changes have been, have taken place within what we believe in since leaving school, et cetera.
Yeah. So I guess a little background. Cadin left early from school. So he got the job with the Blue Jays in Florida and left in the beginning of March. So we had
Coach.
What's that?
Late February.
Oh yeah, mid-February.
Yeah, it was mid.
It was mid-February. So I had like another 2.5 months at school where he was in Florida, and then this is being recorded in the middle of October. So it's been a while. It's been about 8 months now.
Full season.
That he's been gone, and like, take about 3 months off for me. So about 5 months that I've been gone. So that's a good chunk of time. So we wanted to just reflect back a bit on like what has changed since we left school. That 2-year period for us at Springfield was extremely beneficial. No doubt the most beneficial part, in our opinion, well, I at least speak for myself, but I guess Cadin kind of touched on it too, is just being around other like-minded people and having the ability to just learn and grow together.
And you're forced to apply what you feel is necessary, and
right.
you learn if it works or not.
Yeah. But we just wanted to reflect back on what has changed since we've left school. So the first thing I want to ask, I'm going to pose to you is, we've gone from the Division III setting at Springfield. Everything was, very controlled. Like, it's a well-oiled machine there at Springfield. Like, we're in this zone at this time and
correct
things. And you're working with over 150 athletes while you're there, coaching 4 different teams.
Yep.
Now you're with the Blue Jays organization. You have your single A team. Those are your guys.
Yep.
Just speak on some of the differences between working in the Division III setting where goals might be different, and now, you're working with guys who are worth millions of dollars on a daily basis. Just speak to some of those differences.
Yeah, and I think it's important to start with the similarities. And for me, that it's relationships. So you leave an area where you've taken so much time to establish relationships, and you go to a new place with new individuals And the first step has to be creating relationships, because without relationships, you're not going to get buy-in.
Mm-hmm.
Buy-in, I'm not going to be able to achieve the things I want to achieve with those guys. So when I got there, like that was the first step, and it was easy. I mean, like the people with the Blue Jays staff players, they're awesome. It's so easy to create strong relationships. I can't say literally anything bad about the people I'm working with.
Yeah.
So that part was easy. And then you get into a situation where you have, instead of having a wide variety of athletes with different demands, different schedules, different time of years, like when you're at Springfield, you're balancing so many different things. You're off season with one team, in season with another, right? And it's challenging. And I think being, within that environment helped a lot. But now you're working with one team with the same common goal, with a group of individuals that are in similar positions. So you have to think, I'd say big changes, like D3 athletes are still awesome athletes, great people to work with. You now get to a spot where these people are now assets to a company. So it naturally changes the way you think about what you're doing. And for me, that was definitely an adjustment period. Like there's things that we did at Springfield where, I don't know if loose is the word, but we just had a little more freedom to try things and express things.
It felt less risky.
Yeah, we weren't necessarily worried about, the risk involved.
Yeah.
As much. You get to a place like this and you really have to balance the, risk reward aspect of it. Like, is doing this going to be worth the risk, et cetera? And that was definitely a transition for me, because there was things that I felt that I could include that maybe weren't going to be worthwhile within the setting because of that. So you have to adapt to the setting. And then you get to a point where like these kids they're just kids. And it's so easy to go in and you're like, man, these are pro baseball players. Like these guys make money to do this, et cetera.
Yeah.
They're just kids. They want the same things that the other kids you work with are. They're college age athletes that we hope to create a enjoyable training environment with, just like we do at Springfield, to help get the most bang for our buck in the weight room. So it's like when you think of it overarching, it's not as different, but the little intricacies within are different. So that I would say, adjusting to the risk reward, and then you have to learn an entire new, I don't like the word philosophy, but we have a philosophy here, right? The way we train is specific to our organization and what we've done. So you go from creating all the protocols where you're experimenting with things and doing different things with different teams and different athletes to learning a new system. So that was a transition. And then for me, like I spent a lot of time, like you try to find an edge anywhere, if that makes sense. So we're using this technology. Is there anything that I can find within here that are going to be similar across all individuals that I know have some correlation?
Yeah.
You do it, you think they have correlation, and now it's half and half. It's not matching up with the product that's going out in the field. Not a lot of correlation there. So there's a lot of like testing that I did personally, and just diving into some of the stuff we have.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the biggest part too is like you get involved in a system that you're doing every day. It's probably easy to like take a step back and not do anything continuing ed. Like I try to make it a point to like constantly challenge myself in that nature. Whereas you go to Springfield, it's easy to constantly dive into things because you're the one that's at the helm creating the protocols.
Yeah.
Here it's a little different, but I still want to challenge myself in that way. Like, how is there things that I can change for my guys within my scope of, what I have the ability to change that are going to help them.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of just like off on a tangent, but like, honestly, those are some of the biggest parts is like you get accustomed to a new environment and you kind of feel your way around what is worth the risk, what isn't, where can I incorporate new things that I enjoy, et cetera. I know we've had these conversations, so.
Yeah, I want to kind of go off. I want to make a point first and kind of go off one of the things you said there. I guess one thing I didn't think about in your setting is you really are working with the same ages of people, which is crazy to think about because you hear professional and you just immediately think it's step up. So you think older.
Bryce Harper.
Yeah, you think
Right.
like older players, but I think especially the level that you're at, it's developmental. Like you're still you're single A. So like these are young guys. And baseball being a sport that's predominantly, maybe not predominantly, but heavy influence from international players.
Of course.
Those guys are getting drafted in the international draft at
They're getting signed young, 16.
16 years old. So you probably have guys that are 16, 17 years old that you're
Yeah,
working
the backgrounds from the individuals are definitely different. So it's like you step into a weight room now with guys with, different training ages and exposure to different things, some with exposure to nothing.
Yeah.
Not at my level, because the guys that like come up from the Dominican, like we have a complex there. It's like they're training over there and they come up, within our system. But like we draft or sign these high school kids from the States that, their training backgrounds are entirely different.
Yeah.
And so the individualization aspect's another big one. I don't know, I didn't touch on that, but like you when you're at Springfield, 150 different athletes and you're working with big teams, you can't
going to school.
You can't individualize it. Unfortunately, you don't have the time or the resources. But when you have a group of a controlled group of specific number of individuals, like for me, it was the position players on our team. Everything's individual. I'm trying to make the most informed decisions based on your demands to help you, perform better on the field. So like everything I do is a person by person basis instead of looking at it as a group. That's definitely a difference. But that's how I think it needs to be. You know what I mean? Like when you have a clientele, if you're feeding that entire clientele the same menu of training, I don't think you're taking a deep enough dive and having the ideal conversations necessary to identify what's truly necessary for that individual.
Yeah.
And that's definitely an aspect of, the way I approach training that has changed is that at school, we're handing out, you work with a team of 50 people and you're supplying the same exact program to that team. Granted, it's probably naturally going to get a lot of those people better, right? And it's all you necessarily have, time to do. But if we were to go back, is it the most optimal way of approaching training with that group? Probably not.
Well, yeah, there's going to be a plateau eventually, and as you get better, that next 1% becomes harder to achieve, and it needs to become more and more specific.
And then we think about like even exercise selection. Like I know you got deep down the ISA rabbit hole, and you kind of drag me along with you. But think about if that's something you believe in, the changes within each individual's program that could make.
Yeah. So the question I had was, you sparked something for me. Like we're in like this age where people are trying to move more and more towards this like high performance model, whatever. They have directors and then, all these different layers and positions, like going from a place like Springfield where we were a silo, you were the strength and conditioning people. The AT was over here.
Yep.
So say it was, for the women's basketball. You talk to coach, you talk to the coaching staff.
Yep.
The communication wasn't as frequent as it probably should have been. I mean, I know you had weekly meetings,
right,
which is better than
a lot of
other teams. But even then, like now you're in a situation where everyone's job is focused on the development of this group of guys, and everybody needs to be on the same page. Like, in and of itself, it sounds great. Like, okay, we have all these extra people. That means we should see exponential results. I guess, can you speak to some of the, like how it's changed your perspective on things now being part of more of a team, and talk about some of the challenges that you've seen with that as well?
Yeah, it was new. But I think that's the model that a lot of these professional organizations try to take. Like you have all these different departments. How can we unify them for the better of the play? It's a player-centered model.
Yeah. And let me just preface. I think it's great and like it needs to happen.
Of course.
But it's hard. It's, from my view, it's difficult because it requires great leadership and great communication through everybody.
Correct. It is tough. And, we meet every day, we speak every day. When something happens on our end, it's, the other end is informed. it's this constant like loop and cycle of communication. So when you talk about, being able to communicate with a staff and working as a team, you definitely get that aspect. And so for a lot of young strength coaches, that's new. But I enjoy it. I enjoy being a part of a team like that. But you're right. Like naturally within a staff environment like that, you're gonna have people with conflicting ideas or think that you should approach things differently, or there's gonna be situations that, is it this group's responsibility? Is it this group's responsibility? But I think that's one of the things that like our staff at our level did a great job of this year. We ended up winning the league, and I'm not saying that's because of the staff at all, but I'm saying our communication as a staff, I think, was super beneficial in solving problems and in, going about certain situations. Like, guys we had a few, honestly, we did a good job. We didn't have a soft tissue injury this year. We had one, it was from a kid that we signed from a different team, and he got hurt like the next week. So I don't know if I'd label that because we didn't have time to really work with him before. Mm-hmm. But, overall, I think the communication plays into that. But if, you're in a situation where someone might have got banged up and he's on a, 1 or 2 week rehab, or you're going day by day in terms of how he's feeling. Like we did an awesome job at working with the athletic training staff, and communicating what is going to be the priority in there and what do I have the ability to do out in the weight room. And without that communication, you're guessing. And when you're guessing like that, naturally people are going to point fingers if something goes wrong. So without it, you're just in a tough spot because it is a high performing environment. Mm-hmm. These individuals are worth money. Everyone enjoys their job. We have the opportunity to work in professional baseball. So everyone naturally is going to try to do what's best for them, to a sense.
Yeah.
And without that communication, it's really easy to point fingers. So I'm glad that my affiliate didn't run into that this year. But I'm sure that happens other places. You know what I mean?
And it will happen down the road to you at some point.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I think we made it a point, and it helps that we're all friends. Like we created a strong enough relationship where we're all friends, and we tell each other things, and we communicated outside of just work. But yeah, I would say that communication, which stemmed from, our manager was super big on just creating a strong environment for the staff as well. But I'd say we prevented what could have been like probably problems in other areas with, other organizations based on how they handle it because of the way we communicated. Yeah. So hopefully that answers your question. It is just naturally like it's easy to point fingers in pro ball. If I want to be as direct as possible, it's easy to point fingers because just like you're worried about risk with the players, you're also worried, some more than others, I'm sure, but everyone's worried about their job to a certain extent.
Of course.
And if I'm being direct, I think a lot of people go through, and I try to do my best this year, not even thinking about that. Like I'm just going to do me, and I'm going to do the things that I think are beneficial, and I'm going to learn from them. Mm-hmm. But naturally, people are going to go through their daily life in that environment and be worried about their job security. It's just the nature of it. If we're being honest,
nature of being human. Like
that was another transition. Like I didn't necessarily enjoy that train of thought. I didn't enjoy how some people approach their work like that.
Yeah,
because I've never had to, and is new to me, and I don't think doing that is the best thing for the athlete. But you can't blame people for that. They have families and etc.
Right. So, yeah, and I mean, whatever. Maybe balance isn't the right word, but
right.
But there is some sort of balance, and once again, this is not quantifiable in my opinion. But there's a balance of risk and reward, fear and, I guess, risk, if you will. I guess I can use that word again, but like if you're always coaching out of fear,
if you're always making decisions out of fear,
that's, in my opinion, a soft mentality. Like it is, because you're not going to gain anything.
Correct.
You might not get worse.
Right.
You might be able to say, I did my job, quote, and that whatever, everyone stayed healthy, which maybe in baseball, that's enough because again, our job's hard to measure.
Right.
How do you measure that? So the strength staff.
How important are we?
We had 10 guys on our team deadlift 600 pounds. Who cares?
Yeah. Do they stink?
Can they hit the ball?
But like then again, we kept guys in the field and we won the championship.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably not because of us. How important are we? And I think that's
But at the same time, you can't say it's not because of you.
correct. But I think these are important conversations. Like I think a lot of strength coaches, I know we spoke about this, think that they're more important than they are.
Yeah. Humbling job.
I love our job. I love refreshing. I do think we play a role in these athletes' development. 100%. How important are we actually? And it's a question you kind of have to think through when you go through things like that. Like we're the first to get blame for sure, and the last to get credit.
Last to get praise. Yep.
Always. And you have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would never like our team success this year. I don't know if it's because of me. I doubt it.
Yeah.
But I gave guys the opportunity to be able to go and perform out there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The other thing I think about is in a role where, of course, our job is physical development,
Of course.
but we are in a support staff position. Like, what is the psychological benefit of us being there? What's the level of confidence that we're instilling athletes? To me, that's probably even more important than what we do.
100%, man. You get to a certain level, and then you get to a certain point in the season. Like these guys are playing 5-6 times a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're gonna get to a point where the weight room obviously loses some value in terms of what's going on outside of it. But creating strong enough relationships, and I'll go back to that because I genuinely don't think there's anything more important. At the end of the day, we're serving people, we're helping others. Sometimes like these guys are going to come in and they're struggling. They're playing poorly. And once again, this is their job. This is how they make a living. So when they're not playing well, it's tough for them to digest sometimes. You have to be able to have conversation with that person, meet them where they're at. It's a lot of it's give and take. Like if I, know a guy had a tough day and you know that you're only going to get so much from him out of the weight room after, what modifications can I make, right? For him to still cash in some quality work that I think is necessary for him in that moment, but also pull back in places that are just going to end up being a waste of time. So you have to know your athletes. That's one. And then just being like you got to have, I think strength coaches come off as like rah-rah, and I've never been like a rah-rah guy. But our manager called me hype coach this year. And it was just because I tried to show up with a smile on my face every day for the guys. And I don't know, maybe it's cliche, like you get told these things all the time, but seriously, dude, it goes a long way. Like if you can be a figure for these guys that you don't know what they're going through, and that hour with you is like is an enjoyable time for them. Like think about how much you're going to get out of that. Not even in the weight room, but just from, a mood perspective, how are you uplifting their character? Like I wanted to be someone this year that these guys were comfortable going to talk to and that they genuinely enjoyed spending time around. And sometimes that involves, bringing energy and hyping people up. And sometimes that involves just having the capacity to, have real conversations with these guys and feel where they're coming from. Because man, they're humans at the end of the day. And I played baseball, bro. Like I know how it goes. Obviously, much lower level. I was never playing for my livelihood, but
it's the same struggle. Like,
of course.
I mean, at the same time, your best season, your best players right now, compared to your best season, those guys are, quote, failing more than you failed that year.
Right. And it's all relative.
It's relative.
All relative.
But percentage-wise, they probably are.
Of course. So
like, your best hitters are probably hitting 300, maybe Harold.
Our best hitter hit like 304.
Yeah. Great season. Almost 70% of the time, he was not getting a hit.
He was upset walking back to the dugout. And dude, it's such a big part of the game. And what we do in the environment that we establish in the weight room can help those guys there.
Yeah.
We have a mental performance staff. Like we have people that they go and talk to. It's part of the human performance staff. It's part of the team that we've built. But that doesn't mean that we can't assist in, getting an athlete to smile, man, or getting him to feel loose, or getting him to realize that at bat that he just took isn't the end of the world. And it's so easy to tell guys that. Think about when you were playing baseball, coach, and you had a bad at bat, and you go back in the dugout, and they're like, "Dude, like, shake it off. You're good." And you're already pissed, and all you want to do is get more mad.
Yes.
You better know the individual, or else you're just going to feed into that.
Yep.
So when you think about creating buy-in, man, and things like that cannot go unnoticed.
Yeah.
You can have all the energy in the weight room. Awesome. You're fun to be around in there. If your spectrum and your scope goes as soon as you leave that weight room is non-existent and you don't have a presence, I think you're not doing your job.
I agree. Yeah. So. And in some settings, maybe that works. Maybe you don't need to be.
Right.
If you're working at a school where you're the head strength coach and you have no assistants and you're not someone who's there on game day, you're not out at practice every day, whatever. Maybe you can just be that guy in the weight room and then go about your life, whatever. But a quote I've been thinking a lot about recently is everybody influences somebody. And it's a quote that makes you think because it doesn't say anything.
If it's good or bad influence.
Good or bad influence, it's really your choice to make. And I've done a lot of reflection back on my time at Springfield, and I mean, for me, nothing was more impactful on me as a coach than being with the volleyball team. Like, I mean, dude, like I'm getting chills right now just thinking about it. Like being around Coach Sullivan, being at the national championship game. Like, did it matter if we did 80% on the trap bar or 60% on the trap bar that 2 weeks before? No, not at all. Would they have jumped higher if I chose one or the other? Maybe. Was it going to be significant? Absolutely not.
But guess what, coach?
Not going to show up in a trial.
They would have done anything to have you there that day.
That's what I hope.
And dude, that's why it was so tough leaving early, not because I was going to miss programming for these athletes.
Yeah.
Because I was going to miss them. I was going to miss the people.
Process.
I was going to miss the people. And when you go through like a minor league season like this, like it's a grind for all these guys, man. And at the same time, when you're a part of that grind, so when you're taking time to go out to practice and you're at every game and you're traveling with the team, you're part of that grind. And they notice that.
Yeah.
They notice that. And if you're someone that doesn't want to be a part of that with them and you're constantly taking a step back every chance you get, they also notice that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And baseball's a much different game. Of course, it's a
game, man. Oh, tough game.
It's a tough game. It really
is. What year, coach?
It's a really weird game when you think about it because there's no fluidity to it. It's very choppy. Like every pitch, like there's a break in play every pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I guess theoretically you could say the same thing about football. Like every play it's a different.
Back to the huddle. Yeah.
But baseball's different in the fact that you don't need necessarily like all 9 guys on defense
at every moment
to do their job. It doesn't matter. You need pitcher to pitch and catcher to catch and maybe the guy to field it and the other guy to catch it.
You think about like within each pitch, you have time to think about what you just did wrong. Or if you haven't been involved in the game, you have time to think about nothing. And there's a lot of lapses in focus.
Yeah.
Dude, that came up a lot this year. Like lapses in focus lead to bad things that happened. And yeah.
But we're talking different mental challenges for each game. Thinking back to volleyball, like the game of belief that we were like that Coach Sullivan was trying to play, and like, I mean, I'd like to think I was a part of it as the coaching staff and like reinforcing that.
Mm-hmm.
That was so important for the team, and like relaying that message and getting the guys to believe in themselves, believe in their teammates, and believe that we can go out and execute whatever we're trying to execute. Like, and that's a game where you are asking 6 guys on the court to go do their job.
Right.
whether it's offensively or defensively.
Yep.
It's like I don't get sick of talking X's and O's. Like I don't think I ever get sick of talking X's and O's unless we're just talking about like what I do get sick of is watching people just get people stronger into infinity and watching them become worse and worse at their sport. Like that I do get sick of.
Yeah.
But
or you see people that get them stronger and faster and get confused when they don't get better at their sport. Like it's not multifactorial.
Yeah.
Listen, you can get an individual stronger, faster, and it might not get better at their sport. It's just
Right.
It's just the reality of it. But does that mean that you did or didn't do your job? Does that mean that you did or didn't do your job?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I would say that's dependent upon the place that you're at.
Yeah.
Like, and that's where I believe these units of professionals are so important. Like, whose job is the skill building? Can you play a role in the skill building for the sport? Like in our position.
Dude, the skill acquisition piece is a piece that I dove into a lot this year.
Yeah.
I think at school I was always trying to incorporate things that are just going to be naturally enjoyable for them.
Mm-hmm.
Let them want to come in there. I mean, there's so many other stressors on their plate. I didn't want the weight room to feel like another one. And it's the same here, but you think about the role that you can actually play in helping these individuals develop new skill. Hopefully it helped. We did a lot of things that I just wanted to create an environment that, and I think we could touch on this too, is like less structured. You said like Springfield is a well-oiled machine. You get to be here, then. It's great, but I didn't necessarily enjoy that portion of the coaching.
Yeah.
I think that your best athletes or developing your best athletes need to come in environments that are expressive. So I'd create an environment for these guys where this is the task, and the way you complete that task is up to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I can apply certain constraints to make that task more difficult or force you to make a different decision with the sole goal of completing that task. So what decision are you going to make? How quick are you going to make it? And is it the right one?
Yeah.
And if not, you learn from it and do it again. But I'm not going to tell you how to do it or how to finish it. Think about, dude, how like
sounds more like sport to me.
Have you ever been told something and just learned it? Me, like maybe it's different for people, but like I have to be thrown into the fire a little to learn that said skill or said whatever.
Yeah.
And for me to tell these guys how they need to go about a certain, okay, for you to track down this fly ball, you have to do this exactly. For you to get a hit, you have to do this exactly. It's never going to occur, man. You're always going to revert back to what's natural and organic. So how can I create an environment to have them move that way? Then maybe you can learn from the constraints that are applied. Maybe that transfers to the field. Maybe not.
But there are people that coach like that.
Of course.
There are people who say, do this. Like it's an exact model. It's an exact system.
And
of course, we're teaching to some sort of technical model. You have to have some sort of understanding.
Yes.
Like
I'm just going to let you get under a bar and do whatever the hell you want.
You can't do whatever you want. You can't just go swing a baseball bat however you want. Like, of course, there's general mechanics that lead to successful outcomes.
Of course.
But it can't be so robotic that you're changing this person, like you're changing their movement signature, their expression.
What works for you may not work for the other person.
Right.
Doesn't mean it's wrong. In the weight room, we can't expect that person split squat to be the same visual as another person's. Does that mean that person's is wrong? Absolutely not. Think of how many factors play into the way that individual moves.
Yeah.
We might teach the same thing, right? Say a hitting coach is teaching the same thing. You still can't expect that swing to look like that swing.
Yeah.
Levers. That individual prefers moving. What are his movement strategies?
Yeah.
Right? Solution. So yes, you need an overarching like technical model in the way you think that, it would be most efficient for that athlete, but there has to be some freedom within that.
Yeah.
There has to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that you and I, we talk about a lot, man, is like nothing's one size fits all. And I know you're like less involved in the social media space than I am.
I'm not
But
anti-social media. I'm
no,
just,
you're just less involved in it.
yeah.
It is what it is. But you see, there's so many videos, and like, man, I understand. Like, some coaches are posting things for views and a reputation, and that's great. Like, I'm not going to fault anyone for anything they're doing, because that, you know what I mean. But for you to call something out and say that's the wrong way about going about things without any context, without speaking to that coach or that individual, without knowing the athlete and his situation, it's wrong, man. Like, there's no such thing as one size fits all.
Yeah.
And like, we both kind of tuned into that Jungles thing for a little. The guy that Jungles was with made a post saying that you shouldn't do that, right? And Jungles was like, why not? And they both got on live. Respect. They both got on live and they spoke about it. And they spoke respectively and they bounced ideas off each other. And Jungle said, this is why he likes it. And this is why I said, this is why they don't. And that's what I think the field needs more of.
I think they both got better for it.
They both got better off that. But
yeah, respectfully others' views. That was awesome.
For one to say that, for someone to say that you shouldn't be doing that because you just don't believe in that and that it's inherently wrong, is incorrect.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's such thing as inherently good or bad unless it's dangerous. Right.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. And it's so easy, like when you have a different belief, to look at something and be like, dude, do this instead. But I'm trying to catch myself there.
Catch your own biases.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead, maybe we ask more informed questions of like, you know, why are you doing that? And then you can stem a conversation. But for me to just like,
that's where having
to say that that's anti and what I have is elite without any like contact, it's just wrong. Dude, but I've caught myself doing that. I've caught myself doing that though.
Oh yeah. I think anyone who says, well, I shouldn't say that because that's assuming, but I would be lying if I said I didn't do that. Like,
of course, everyone does. It's natural.
It's judgment. Like, you got to check myself. But that's where having a strong network is so important. Like,
yeah, bro.
Because you get lost in our own biases. Everybody has biases towards something.
Of course.
Whether it's an exercise.
Dude, Coach Saz did 300 single leg depth drops in a row and 300 barbell row drop catches. You think people look at that and think that's normal? But Coach Saz does, and he can back up why he does it. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to tell him that he shouldn't do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's who he is and what he believes in.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Because Crane's always like, why, Saz?
I know, but that's a fair question. You know, it's always
a question. But if you can't defend that why, if someone wants to know why and you can't defend it, then I think you're probably not in the best spot to make that decision.
Right.
Which
then it becomes hard as the person being asked why. It's so hard to not be defensive.
Of course.
It's so hard to not be defensive. But it's not even a personal question. Like, it's really not.
No.
But I take it as personally for some reason. At least initially, you know. Like, that's something I'm definitely trying to work on, is thinking, not thinking through it. Like, I think through things probably too much.
You do. Coach shouldn't take days to, program a single exercise.
I'm obsessive about that. That's too much. Like, that's not good. But like, thinking about when someone asks me why, like, I need to be able to have a good answer for that.
And then you also need to have a good answer of why you don't like it.
True.
That's like when I went on that podcast with Brett and Dan, and we were talking about Olympic lifting, especially with baseball players. And like, Brett was like, yeah, man, like, I don't like Olympic lifting, and here's why. And he's like, if you need to have a why you do like things, but you better have an even stronger why of why you don't like things before you criticize someone else. He's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. And like, it's so tough because you create a belief system, things that you believe in, your own natural biases, the things that you've applied and have worked for you. And you need that, obviously, as a coach. Mm-hmm. And it's so tough to, like, if I see an individual doing something that I would deem super simple and he's in a position where I think complexity is needed, it's tough to not like judge that or think that you could provide something better in that situation. You know what I mean?
Give an example of that maybe, or like give an example of when you think complexity would take the day over simplicity. You don't have to use a specific athlete necessarily, but like give an example of like a skill or a quality.
You're going to naturally have guys that it's going to take a lot more to move the needle.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then for me, it's like I think variety is so important, bro. So if a trap bar deadlift is a foundational movement within your program, that's awesome. I think it's great. There has to be stints away from it. There has to be stints where that stimulus is changed.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're constantly feeding this individual the same stimuli over and over and over again,
Yep.
you're going to reach a point where there's no more return. And I don't know if I deem, changes in that as complexity, but I think it's a fairly simple answer of naturally you're going to plateau.
Let me add to that point, because something I've been thinking about a lot since leaving school, especially like being a little bit more involved in the track world now, that is about as repetitive of a sport as you're going to see.
Correct.
Right?
Track is the sport. Running is the skill.
Running is the sport. Training is the sport. Yeah. Like it's different in baseball. It's different in football. Like it's not the sport, which is one of the things I love about track, because it's like it's so quantifiable. Like I like something that's quantifiable and it's kind of black and white. Like it's in work. This person got faster, jumped farther, threw farther, jumped higher, whatever it might be.
Right.
Something we did worked. Anyway, now that I've lost track of what I was going to say. Oh, variability, variety. In a sport where you're talking about right, left, like every step, you're loading the tendons, ligaments, muscles, whatever, the same way every single time. That is so, I mean, I'm convinced at least that has to have a huge role in chronic injury.
Of course.
Shin splints.
No doubt.
Yeah. Jumper's knee, like whatever it might be. So like one thing I've changed my opinion on is like the value of general means of training. So let's say you're working with a high jumper, for example. Like being so specific with the run up, like you're taking your full approach run every single time, your foot's planting the same way every time. Not only do we know that that's eventually going to lead to a plateau because of accommodation, like this person's going to jump higher for a little bit of time and then they're going to stop jumping higher. Like we need other means to develop, but they're probably going to develop some type of shin splint on their jumping leg, or maybe their other leg. And
that's the only thing you're doing.
Probably some type of jumper's knee. Like, how can we change the plane, change the movement, add in different games,
go jump in a different way time.
Different way, like,
you know what I mean? Go play basketball for a few minutes.
Dude, that's something Joel Smith talked about.
Dude, like
Joel talked about some of it because he was a high jumper. Like he talked about how he would like they would just have like dunking practice. That sounds pretty fun.
You don't think that individual naturally working through solutions and ways to jump in different manners is going to help him when he's approaching that jump?
Yeah.
I almost think that we get to a point as coaches where we're so concerned with how what we're doing is going to turn over, and we forget that these athletes are very skilled and they're very adaptable.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we're doing stuff that may not, in our minds, directly translate to the pattern that's going on,
mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that the athlete's not getting better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Think of how many swings that these guys are going to take. Obviously, I think there's value in rotational med ball work. But if you didn't do that, I generally don't think it would make that big of a difference for an individual that's already going to swing that much.
Already getting millions of swings during the season.
I genuinely believe that a lot of
what's 10 more med ball throws going to do?
I genuinely believe that if you can create the most well-rounded athlete where the base of that pyramid is play and exposure to different positions and games, and in a variety of stimuli where they're forced to make a lot of different decisions or work with another individual, like you're going to create a more robust athlete that way.
Yeah.
My opinion, if the base of what you're doing is always specialized to what your skill is, I think that you're not filling a lot of cracks in your armor that are going to be necessary for you to be a robust individual, if that makes sense. If you're a baseball player and all you do is hit and throw, and you work in the same patterns the entire time, obviously those things are important. You have to do them in bulk, right? It's still a skill inherently that you have to develop and improve. But if those are the only things you're doing, or if we're going to replicate those things again in the weight room and not provide anything that's different and provide a little variety, I think you're right. Like, I think an injury is more likely.
Yeah. Because you can still go about developing translatable skills without practicing the skill.
100%. And I think that's where like this bridge to sport gets caught in the weeds.
Mm-hmm.
Is people think the bridge to sport is like, all right, you build a foundation via hypertrophy, and then you develop maximal strength, and you submaximal load in a power block, and then you move as fast as you can, so that translates to speed, and then you bridge that all in the same patterns. I don't necessarily think that is the only way to bridge to sport. If I create an environment where I'm, like we kind of spoke on earlier, where I'm forcing the individual to like make natural decisions, who's to say that's not going to translate? Who's to say that the next decision he makes in the game isn't going to be faster?
Yeah.
I don't know. But why can't that translate? Just because I don't have him doing it in the pattern that's directly mimics a swing doesn't mean that individual is not getting better.
Yeah. Well, what we're talking about is just dynamic correspondence.
Of course.
We're talking about how does said training modality translate into the game. And of course, there's different levels. General, specific, competitive, of course, and then special developmental, if you have a sprinter, of course, doing acceleration, of course, sprinting is going to help, but you can't only sprint.
Of course, swinging is going to help you hit better, but you can't only do that.
You one, you're going to plateau quickly.
Think about the enjoyment piece too, Coach.
Yeah.
I might be different because I always got bored. Like I would know when I was done hitting because I took too many swings, or if I was ever in a training block where it was like 6 weeks, like I got bored.
Yeah, weeks 4, 5, and 6 are brutal.
And that could just be me. But yes, you're going to plateau, but think about what that's going to do cognitively to you and your engagement every time you go to complete said activity. Mm-hmm. When you lack that engagement, you're going to lack a lot of intent. And without that, you're not going to move the needle on anything you're doing.
Yeah.
So I think it's on another.
What are your thoughts? So we talk about the play and incorporating, small-sided games, all that kind of stuff, problem solving. What are your thoughts on how? And this is maybe an unfair question, not an unfair question, but one where I don't think that there's necessarily a good answer or a right answer or a solution. I think we generally know that athletes who played more growing up are going to then, once they're older, have more problem solving skills, whatever. Generally, be a better athlete. So, as you get these athletes who are, closer to their full development, playing these games might have less transfer than a kid. I'm not saying that means that they're less valuable, that I wouldn't include them, but I don't know, just maybe your thoughts on that.
I think that at the very least, you're now putting that individual who is well developed in an environment that he should be genuinely enjoyable. Yeah. And I think when you reach
let me just say, by well developed, I mean that their brain is probably skill.
That decision making, the decision making aspect of it probably isn't going to have any carryover. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, decision making is kind of closer to its peak. Skill acquisition's a bit harder because their brain.
Would say I don't have enough experience working with that kind of athlete, because I think the guys that I'm with at their age still have plenty to learn and develop.
Yeah,
but For an individual like that might not get as much cognitively out of it, I think at the very least, it's an enjoyable environment for that person that's outside of the scope of what he's doing every single day. And I think there's so much value in that.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be time within your training schedule, skill, strength conditioning, your whatever it is, that should be inherently fun, man. Think about what that's going to do for your engagement throughout a long season.
Like I'm
And
picturing,
I don't think any individual is at a point where they can't be challenged.
yeah,
I think if you put Aaron Judge in a situation or a specific environment, I mean, that's a pretty well-developed individual. If you put him in a situation that he can be challenged, I think there's always ways to challenge guys, man, because that's what variety does. If it's the same thing he's been doing for years, probably not. But if we apply something different, of course he's going to be challenged. And there's definitely going to be room to grow. Will it carry over? Maybe or maybe not, but we're challenging him.
I'm picturing like Kyle Schwarber and Jeremiah Love out there playing spike ball.
Who's going to be better at that, you think? You'd hope Jeremiah.
I don't know.
Well, according to Coach Crane, shout out Coach Crane, we'll have him on here soon. He thinks that your ability to, solely jump high and run fast makes you far more athletic than your ability to make decisions and react. That'll be a conversation we have for him.
That's going to be a fun conversation.
In his mind, baseball athletes are naturally inferior to anything football.
Bums.
Unbelievable. But no, I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Like where so where do you think play would have a role in track and field? So you have a sport where the skill of running or jumping or throwing is the sport. So your training is the game. And it's a sport where, tenths of a second can decide so many things.
Yep.
So I think in a lot of people's mind, if you aren't spending time developing that specific skill, that, because it's such a small window of opportunity, maybe it's time not well spent. Where would you, how would you maneuver that?
That's an internal battle that I have with myself frequently, to be honest, is dude, track's such a long season, brutally long, too long, honestly. It is the college track season, it's already started. October, it's already started. It's going to go till Outdoor Nationals will end in May. Division 3.
It's all year.
One will be in June. Division 1 will be in June.
Yeah.
It doesn't take someone that long to get fast. It just doesn't. So this goes back to kind of what you said of and I would expand this out even more than just strength coaches. We as coaches like to make ourselves more important than we really are.
Yep.
So what we fill time.
Dude, don't get me started with that.
We fill time with,
oh my God,
with whatever, because we have an hour for
and it has to be filled.
And we have to fill it. So
why do we have to fill it?
We fill it with warm up, or we fill it with whatever, stretching, whatever it might be. There's a point.
The last 20 minutes of that aren't going to be of quality work. Why do we have to fill it?
There's a point in time for those things, but I don't know. I'd rather just let's do what we, especially during an in season, let's get in and get out.
More isn't always better, Coach. More is just more sometimes. It's just more. So when we're doing this and we have a 45-minute window to do a warm up and a speed session, we have that often, or whatever it is, in whatever environment you're in. You think that athlete wants to do that every day? The same repetitive warm up, or the same exact speed development session, or whatever it may be, whatever you're doing. No, you have to put yourself in their shoes. And I don't think that filling blocks of time as a means to having productive session is the way to approach it at all. Because you can have a more effective session in 20 minutes than you can have in an hour based on what you're doing and how you fill it and the engagement you get within it. So I agree that.
But let me get back to actually answering the question that you originally posed. So in track and field, I would view the games as it just kind of gets bumped down a tier in terms of the development aspect. I don't know, maybe in football you could call some type of like maybe you could label a small-sided game in football as more of like a specific, or like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like specific developmental, like it's not, it's like the second tier kind of up. Like it's not general, but it's like,
Right.
it's getting a little bit closer to the game.
Right.
Like track, that's definitely more of a general means.
Of course.
So then I think about what are we getting out of it? And again, how can we shape the constraints to get those things? So like a common thing that coaches will do in track is use circuit training for
A lot of ab workouts in track.
ab workouts, like stuff. And in my opinion, it
A lot of
is
crunches in track.
like low intensity crunches, whatever. Like
What are we doing crunches for?
not going to be the difference, but whatever. But once again, filling time. If it's a thing where you're trying to like Charlie Francis would have, like they would run like their tempo runs, and then they would do like crunches and push-ups during the rest to keep the heart rate up high. Like that's it. To me, that's just a form of circuit training where you're just extending the time that the heart rate is at a certain level, whatever. But you can also get those things from games.
Yeah, me on the outside looking in, I'd see some of those, like maybe your lower running days, like your lower intent running days in track, and they're just doing a lot of circuits. Is once again, yeah, you're just trying to fill time. We have practice today, so we need to do something.
Yeah.
Why can't that something be a game? Because think about like the benefits those individuals are going to get from that. It's something so different than what they're doing.
I know.
So I never really understood. Like I click on like Noah Lyle's practice videos, and they're just like doing a lot of ab work and stuff. And I think it's great, like for your general fitness and your well-being. And but I never fully understood kind of why that was so evident in track and field, or prominent.
So then I would think too, who's playing the game? Like if it's like, or like how can I manipulate the game again to get what I want out of it?
Right.
If it's something where, and you gotta weigh the risks and rewards here. Like how comfortable am I with my track athletes like changing direction? Like, that's something I'd have to weigh. Like what's the surface we're on? Last thing you need is someone
gets hurt playing game. It's a difficult conversation.
Oh, exactly. Like that'd be a tough one. Hey coach, we were playing handball and so popped their knee.
Dude, that's where like talking to the sport coach is so important. Like,
is that gonna happen? Probably not, but
if you were to present that to the sport coach and like, I understand this is a game, but these are the reasons I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that conversation is going to be important, because they might think, oh, they're just playing handball. It's shits and giggles.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. Part of it is they're having fun. They're going to play a game, but like think about the benefits that they're going to be able to receive from that handball game.
Right.
They're working with a team. They're competing. They're exposed to moving in directions that they don't normally move in. It's all reactive, right? There's so many things involved in that handball game that could benefit that athlete, but to the coach, it's a game.
Right.
So for me, when I include something that is labeled as play, and I create a certain environment with certain constraints, yes, it's play, but to me, it's training. So for them getting hurt within that training is the same thing as if they got hurt in the weight room. They got hurt training, not playing around. Mm-hmm. That's just the way I approach it. But I don't know if that's right, wrong. I don't know how,
I don't think play is only. There's obviously games that we can pick that are closer to the sport.
Right.
I played, like, I had the basketball guys play a lot of handball.
But would you always want that?
Probably not. I don't know, maybe, but like it's pretty similar to basketball.
Yeah, similar concept.
Similar concept in terms of ball movement. Like obviously there's the communication aspect and like moving off the ball, like all that different type of stuff. But like maybe in track, maybe I want them to play more games of tag, because all of a sudden we're getting a lot of accelerations out of a lot of different positions. So now we're developing acceleration, but we're doing it from a lot of different starting positions, a lot of different
like cuts, and then you got to cut hard off your right and get out. Like,
Yeah.
there's
Vectors. A lot of vectors, coach.
a lot of vectors. Yeah.
Like we had the pitchers. The pitchers have structured and scheduled conditioning based on their throwing days, etc. And we had them play football one day. It was like before, it might have been before the All-Star break, or it was before some break, I believe. One of the days we have is a change of direction day. Are we not changing direction when they play, football? They're just playing like two-hand touch football.
Yeah.
For me, speed needs to be subconsciously driven a lot of the time. Like if you're constantly thinking about what you're doing, you're probably not going to run fast.
Mm-hmm.
These guys running routes against each other, are they thinking about where their foot's striking? Are they thinking about, how high their thigh's driving?
They're trying to push their buddy.
So now we're developing these qualities, and it's in a different manner. And the direct intent to that skill of sprinting or change direction is not there, but it's not track and field. But we're now like getting this quality work in and conducting our running in a manner that is far more organic. And to me, I think there's so much value in that.
Yeah. I think
checking boxes that we wanted to check, and we're doing it in an environment that's far more fun.
Yeah.
And that's not to say you do it every day, right? It shouldn't.
Of course. Yeah. Like anything, it's gonna lose its flash.
Of course.
It's gonna lose effectiveness with time.
If you do it over and over again.
So not to say you're periodizing it, because that's whatever. That term's whatever. Like
with the dose.
You have to have a plan.
When you dose.
You have to have a plan. Yeah. And I think like one of the unique things that I bring to like the track world is that I never ran track.
Yeah, you have an outside perspective on track.
I see it from a way different perspective. So I don't ever have the perspective of oh well, we did this, so this is what we're gonna do. But so many coaches coach like that.
When we have Kobe on here or a track athlete.
Huh? We ran poles, so these guys are gonna run poles.
Oh God, poles are a waste of time. There's benefits to poles. It's difficult mentally, and I think there's value on that. But when we have a track athlete on here, let's ask him. Like we talk about Kobe because we know Kobe. Like think about how much he would have enjoyed including something like that in a practice every once in a while. Yeah. I'm curious. I don't know. Right. Or do these athletes, because of the nature of their sport, prefer a constant schedule?
Right.
I don't know. But that's something you have to learn about your athletes. If you don't know your athletes,
back to the psychological aspect of if they find value in all these crunches, then
you probably can do it.
And they can do as many crunches as they want.
Dude, that's what it has to be at the end of the day, too, man. If you have a certain methodology that you believe in and you're passionate about it, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. But if your athletes hate it, man, you have to make a change.
Right.
You have to. Because at the end of the day, it has to be athlete-centered.
Mm-hmm.
You're always searching for adaptation. You're not going to get adaptation without intent, and you're not going to get intent without engagement. I truly believe that. Yeah. Like if you have a guy that's going in there and he hates what he's doing every day, you're never going to get out of it what you could get out of it if they genuinely think it's helpful.
Yeah. And
that's why you have to make some things enjoyable for some people. A lot of these guys don't like to condition. They don't like to sprint. They don't like to, whatever it is. Now, and I listened to that podcast with Jared Burton, and I had that post on it. Why is that making you bored? Why don't you enjoy it? I think that's probably something worth exploring. Like, what's your connection to that event that makes it not enjoyable? Now I'm gonna put you in a situation where you have to do that and work through that. You know what I mean? Because there's value in doing hard things like that, things that you don't enjoy. But at the same time, if that's all you're doing, you're not gonna have any engagement. So you have to balance what this individual likes and what he doesn't, and try to get him out of that cycle of why he doesn't like it. Like, I think that's, instead of just for me, a lot, I get bored doing that, but I never thought why? What is my connection to that activity and the demands of it that makes me not enjoy it? Is it because it's hard? If the reason is because it's hard, that's not a good enough answer.
Yeah.
Well,
so many athletes just do whatever they're told to do and don't ever think about it. It's like
someone like that.
You just kind of go through the motions. You're you get to practice, and mean, you have no mind, like there's no mindfulness. Like you're not aware of anything you're doing. You're just doing it.
How many times when you're an athlete were you like, I got practice later? Damn it, like I gotta go work out.
Oh my gosh, so many times, bro. I hate
I
it.
And that's naturally gonna happen at time, but I don't want it. I want the guys to be like, okay, maybe I don't want to work out today, but I know coach is kind of he's gonna meet me in the middle, and we're gonna get quality work done. And I'm not gonna
like we're gonna have fun. It's gonna be fun. Like these are my
and I'm
guys.
gonna get in, and I'm still gonna get quality work in.
Yep.
And I'm gonna get out.
Yeah.
I'm not just gonna hover there for an extra specific amount of time.
Right.
Because if you can create that, I think relationship and level of buy-in and understanding with your athlete, man, like.
And I just wonder, like at your level, like what does it feel like for those guys?
Dude,
It feels like work.
You think? They get up, they practice in the morning, they go, like our guys play games at noon. They go play a 3-hour game in the Florida summer.
Yeah.
That can't be enjoyable in terms of the heat. And then they have to train after. What do you think they're thinking if they went 0 for 4 and then 100-degree weather, and now they have to go lift a lot of weight?
They're thinking, I got to do the same thing tomorrow.
Now, there's always sides to it, right? Like, you're a professional. This is your work. You have to get it done. But that's just not the environment that I enjoy being in as a coach. If that's what you enjoy,
Best than anybody.
but I always want these individuals to enjoy what they're doing. Because once again, when you look back, like, it's the relationships with those people that you're going to remember.
Yep.
And it's the intent in which the work you went through that you're going to remember. Like, oh, dude, I used to train my ass off because my coach made it enjoyable for me.
Yeah, we got after it.
We got after it. Not, I probably could have trained harder. I just hated what we were doing.
Yeah, but when I think back, I don't think about, oh, dude, we used to do this exercise. I think back to like, dude, like either one, I enjoyed it, or two, like, dude, we were getting after it,
Sure.
or we weren't getting after it. Like you kind of remember your effort level, and you remember how you felt.
Yep.
So
another reason where individualization is super important.
Yeah.
That person loves to hang clean. I don't enjoy it. There's probably some value in allowing that person to do it. This person hates hang cleaning. Probably value in not doing it then. Aside from the actual benefits of the exercise. And I think that gets so overlooked, dude.
right.
It really does.
It does.
So like when I talk to my athletes, and hey, what do you enjoy? What do you don't? I'm not saying everything you don't enjoy isn't going to be included. That's not what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
I do want to gauge of the way you feel about things.
I want to know it. Yeah.
And work through what's going to be best for you.
Because then also, okay, this person hates this exercise. Like, I think there's a lot of value in including it. So we're going to include it for this amount of time. But now you're prepared for when you got to give them a little bit extra motivation.
And at the same time, coach, no exercise in the weight room is going to be that important where having to include it is extremely unbearably necessary, where you have to have it.
Yeah, you can't get better without it.
Because the weight room is always a means to an end. We always talk about that.
Always a means to an end.
So, yeah.
Well, Coach, I think that's probably a good place to.
Yeah, we kind of spoke for a while.
That's all right.
But yeah, I mean, for anyone that is listening at this point in the video, seriously, like this is an area where we can learn from each other, and we're gonna have people on and pick their brains and have similar conversations with these. Like Grif asked me one question at the beginning of the video, and we ended up speaking for an hour and change off that one question based on tangents, etc. So that's kind of going to be the format, and we hope that anyone that has similar learning, process learning styles us can benefit. So
yeah,
let me. I don't know how to end the meeting, Coach.
Just end the meeting, and then
You got it.
okay, you end.